Growing up as a late 90s, early 2000s kid, my eyes were glued to the TV, and of course, I used to watch Beast Wars. It would always play on YTV because I'm a Canadian and that's a Canadian channel, and I could watch that every single day of my life. The action, the fact that there's an ape that transforms into a robot, the adventures, the fact that there's a dinosaur that transforms into a robot, what's not to love? Now you're probably thinking that I mustered a huge Transformers Beast Wars collection as a kid, and you know what? Here's my Beast Wars collection before I got these two figures. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you're jealous. So to explain this, I was actually never into Transformers growing up. In fact, I rejected the idea of Transformers as a toy. Sometimes I would get back into some of the later cartoons, but it wasn't until Transformers Cybertron where I thought, yeah, let's get into Transformers. These things are actually kinda cool. Hell, the one Beast Wars toy that you saw, I actually got that at a toy fair a couple of years back. But getting into Transformers doesn't mean that I got into Beast Wars again right away. I was kinda hesitant because, oh, is it embarrassing? Does it really hold up? But I did rewatch it, and man, did I love it. Yes, the animation is certainly wonky, but I love the characters and I love the story. When they did Kingdom, I had to get into it because a lot of the iconic characters were in it, but then they did a reissue line for not just Generation 1, but Beast Wars, something that I grew up with. And now I managed to get the Optimus Primal and the Megatron. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be opening the Optimus Primal and Megatron reissue toys and experiencing the nostalgia I missed. So let's start off with Optimus Primal, who has way too big of a package than it needs to be, but the packaging itself does remind me of some of those retro toys. I mean, of course, it's inspired by that, but even though I never grew up with actually owning Beast Wars toys, it reminds me of some of the dinosaur toys I would get at Toys R Us. How many times am I going to say toys in this? Anyways, I'm too excited. Let's go ahead and open it from the side. Oh, and even for a retro toy, these are showing up. There's the instructions. I'm not sure if that's nostalgic or not. I do like that they highlight the artwork with the coloring. That's pretty good. On the side here, you've got that little baggie of parts. And inside you get a ton of these little tiny missiles, two little blade weapons that are a lot smaller than I expected, and of course, oh no, the head of Paleotrex! Ooh, this certainly does feel like a chunky figure. It's a little more expensive than I was hoping for a reissue figure, because I'm in Canada and prices suck. But you know what? Let's let King Kong out of his little cage thing. Monkey. So I was intending to film a reaction and my first thoughts, but this is going to be more like a take two. The footage just didn't really work out. I had the figure off camera so often, I was fumbling on my words, but that worked out well because on day 2 of owning this figure, I am in love with both of these. Especially the Optimus Primal, he's just a big monkey man. Isn't he the thing from Halo Infinite? One of the things I had problems with was the trigger mechanism because it was facing down and unlocked. Apparently you have to bring it up, and then that will give you the motion of the ape man. He's coming straight for us! I just love how thick he is. That's one thick monkey. He's nicely textured, nicely colored. Yes, there are some cracks in the design, but I think for what it's worth, it's pretty cool. And despite the gimmick, he has the full-on articulation, and that's very nice. I like the face. I think the only difference between this and the original toy that I could see is the blue on it, because the blue plastic is not a deep blue, and then the painted plastic is more of a metallic blue. I think the original was consistent all the way through. But besides that, most of this pretty much seems unchanged, especially the mold. You can actually trigger this little button on his butt, and it gives you some missiles and apparently some throwing swords that's not meant to be thrown out. His butt. These pegs are not really the best. But you know what? That, and the fun doesn't stop there, especially in the robot mode. Primal's gonna start slicing and dicing. Wait a minute, who are you and what have you done with Primal? It's like he's ready for his night in Hollywood with Hoist. I am just astonished by how this figure looks. He's nice, he's hefty, but he looks really nice, like really beastie, and Yeah, I totally get Primal vibes out of this. I love the coloring too, the white and the red that shows up. The chest is just overlapped over the monkey chest, but you know what? It actually blends in pretty well. I guess it's that furry texture going with it. The head sculpt is nice, and like I said, that deep blue is kind of gone away, but instead it has this metallic blue, and I kind of like that. Incredible articulation, especially on the legs. I love these hydraulics going into the feet. That's pretty cool. You swap out the toes for a three-toed heel thing. That's kind of weird. And again, that missile gimmick continues here. Again, these swords don't want to stay in place, but look at that. Over top of the shoulders. That is fantastic. You get some missiles that you can launch out, and you get some spare missiles that are placed inside here, but that's for something else. Another cool thing is the arm gimmick. You can move this switch around, and now instead of moving just from the shoulders, they will move from the elbow. It's a little tricky to do, but it's still possible. And that's all to plug in the swords. I'm going ape! If that doesn't fit your fancy, I absolutely love the storage for the skull face that you just pop out. It's a little tricky to plug in, but you just attach that here, and I swear this hurts a lot, but that is so fun. Now for the other arm. It has a little button, and you deploy that, and it's a little tricky to get at, but a missile launcher, and that's why you get the spare missiles, because you can launch those. So let me get this straight. You've got deployable rockets, launching missiles, you got missiles in the wrist, you've got two swords, a skull face smasher whip around thing, an arm gimmick that you can change between the modes, a monkey mode, a robot mode, hydraulics that can be deployed, all in one toy. Yeah, I think that's a lot for one figure. That's a lot more figure than you get out of the Megatron. Speaking of which, now for the one I'm really excited for. Putting the T-Rex sound from Jurassic Park. That's not it. Apparently it only needed one piece of tape. White sheet of who cares in the instructions. Oh, this one has plastic straps instead of the papery ones. Oh, big purple dinosaur. There he is. The figure that I've wanted for years. A big purple dinosaur Megatron. He just looks so good. Are his arms on ball joints? Yes, they are. Oh, they can't really come together, do they? Yeah. So Megatron I find to be a little more flawed. I do like it still. I mean, it's a big purple dinosaur thing that's destructive and definitely not friendly. I absolutely love the idea of this thing. I love looking at it. I think it's pretty clean for the most part, but there's certain gimmicks that kind of get in the way of itself. And when you get to the robot mode, there's a lot of kibble that kind of clash with it. But overall, I mean, my god, it's well worth it. I love the texturing of it. I love the face. I love the fact that they gave a T-Rex a breast flap and detailed breasts over top. That's, you could deploy these missile launchers on the hip, and I mean, come on, a T-Rex with missile launchers on the hip that launches out logos for Star Wars. He's also got this water gun gimmick thing with this tongue, which is a nice idea, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to have constant anxiety that, oh, there's water in this thing. And you can actually take that entire piece out, and now he doesn't have a throat. What's wrong? Primal got your tongue. The only thing I'm really upset about in this mode is you can't bring the arms together to do the yes thing, but I love it regardless. But the robot! Can I say with the battle mask, I love this Predacon face, and if you open that up, you will see the big difference between this and the original because it had a silver helmet, and I prefer that over this because you could really spot the difference between that and the helmet mask itself. Here it just all kind of blends as one. Regardless, that is the terrifying Megatron. We can nitpick whether this and that is accurate, but you know what? That is full-on Megatron. I get the vibe of Megatron, and that's all I need. I think another key difference is the purple seems to be a little bit darker and a little more closer to the cartoon. It's not exact, of course, but from what I've seen on images online, the original Megatron had this kind of brighter tint. The articulation is pretty decent, and you can get things out of the way. It's just problematic because you have to get things out of the way. You know, these clash into the backpack, but I mean, these move around. They got ratchet joints, so you can get the hip joints that you need, so that's good. The arm joints, I feel like it needs a couple more swivels or something. and I can't seem to get this gimmick to work. I tried to push this, but it constantly messes up with the gimmick. The gearing system just kind of wants to lock out. I mean, I could still do this. I'm not really missing out on much. It just would have been cool if I could just push this and have this open and close. I think the head sculpt is fantastic. I love that grimace, and I love the T-Rex arm, even though it doesn't have the best articulation. I mean, he's got the T-Rex head on the arm. Little Kibbley on the back, but that's kind of to be expected. I think overall, for what it's worth, this Megatron is fantastic. I just don't think it really outshines the Primal with the gimmicks and certain things getting in the way. But still, I mean, if I had to get Primal, I had to get Megatron. Plus, he still has the hip missiles. So this was kind of an experiment to see if I'm just looking at this with a nostalgic point of view, or are these toys actually pretty good and do they still hold up? And yes, certainly there's a nostalgic point of view here. I'm not going to deny that. But I do think these toys actually do hold up and are in some ways better than even some of the modern toys. I love the gimmicks. They're a lot of fun. These feel chunky and big. The transformation, I don't feel like I'm going to break anything. I just think that these are really good toys. If they could update some of the paint job and the details, then these would be outstanding. There's certainly a place for the Kingdom collection. There is no denying that. I love the Megatron and I love the Primal. But I gotta say that there is still a place for these. I love them, and they make me want to go after some Beast Wars toys. So I thank you for watching this little experiment thing. I was just trying it out, and hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all those fun doodads. And we'll see you guys next time.